Hey everybody, it's your old buddy Uncle Rich for Who's Telling the Truth. Guys, today's show is going to be an adventure. Really. It's show number 241. Today's date is 11/12/18. And the reason why I said today's show is going to be an adventure is because our good friend and someone who's been with us since day one, Judy, wasn't able to get down here today. She had some car trouble. And then 84 was jammed up, so we couldn't get to her. So guys, we're gonna attempt to do the show with Kurt, the sound man. And I gotta take my hat off to Kurt, because when I said, Kurt, we're gonna have to cancel the show, he said, Rich, let me give it a shot. So guys, for tonight's show, we can't blame Judy. Oh, yeah, we can. We'll just blame her anyway. It doesn't matter. But, guys, I wanted to call tonight's show the Blue Wave. And, you know, everyone's going to say, Blue Wave, Rich. Uncle Joey said it was a blue trickle. And, guys, what we want to do tonight, we want to show that it was more than a trickle. It was enough where it trickled Trump off. I tell you. But you know what? We're going to show you some facts and figures later. And one of the facts we're going to show you is how the younger generation, the people between the ages of 18 and 39, came out in droves. And we're going to show you a chart. And we're going to cite our source and we're going to prove it. So, in honor of the younger people who went out to create the blue wave, we're going to start with some current members of the media, some guys that a lot of the younger people are going to be more familiar than I am. But guys, we're going to have some fun with where Ice Cube sends a cold message to Trump. And this is about Snoop Dogg. So, Kurt, let's give it our first shot. Clip number 01, please.
Of course,
Nice.
Ice Cube is fully aware of Snoop Dogg's beef with President Donald Trump after the rapper created a music video that parodied shooting a clown that resembled the commander-in-chief. So we had to get his take on the situation.
Can I get your reaction on that?
Man, I'm supporting my homie Snoop, you know what I mean? Freedom of speech. Do it how you feel it.
Not surprisingly,
Freedom
the
of
music
speech.
video created a ton of controversy, and even the president himself vocalized his disappointment in the video that more or less depicted his assassination. Of course, Trump took his own shot at Snoop, too.
Donald Trump actually said he's got a failing career. We all know better, right?
Of course.
Right? You know, but
We all know Donald's a liar, so you can't believe nothing he said.
Leave it to Ice Cube to send a cold message to the White House.
So we all know that Trump is a liar. And guys, we're going to prove it with the next clip, because Trump is lying in the same sentence. And I want to tell you, you know, people are going to say, Rich, there was no blue wave. This is what happens when there's a blue wave. Watch. They push Trump over the edge. And listen, he's lying faster than his brain is working. So, Kurt, let's prove my point with clip number 02, please.
All right. So let's review. All of a sudden, the president claims not to know his own choice for acting attorney general, and he didn't just say it once either.
I don't know Matt Whitaker. I didn't know Matt Whitaker. I didn't speak to Matt Whitaker about it. I don't know Matt Whitaker. In all fairness to Matt Whitaker, who, again, I didn't know.
You didn't know? He didn't know.
Of course, the president knows Matt Whitaker. It stands to reason that the president knows Whitaker has spoken out against the Mueller investigation. The president watches TV. The president may not have known Whitaker's entire history. That would require a White House staff that actually researched him just a little bit.
You mean you want somebody in the White House staff to actually Google something and look something up? What are you're asking the impossible. But guys, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with incompetency to the umpth degree. And I tell you, you know, I can tell you there was a blue wave, but the one person who was telling us that Hillary could lose and who was very emphatic about it, he actually spoke glowingly about this election. So we're going to give you a little taste. And guys, remember, in the beginning of the show, the clips that we're playing in the early part, we're going to play the full clip later on. So if there's something that you like, something that really tickles your fancy, you can just fast forward it on YouTube. So anyway, we'll go through and we'll do the clips, the nice short version, to give you a taste of what's coming up, and we'll have a lot of fun. But like I said, listen to Michael Moore, and guys, he was ecstatic. And when we play the full clip, you're really going to flip. So, Kurt, can we have number 3, please?
That this victory on Tuesday was larger than the Tea Party victory in 2010, larger than the huge wave where the Democrats took over Congress in 2006. It can't be stated enough or strongly enough just how over-the-top awesome this victory was on Tuesday. And what you just pointed out, I think, is so important. Not just the victory in terms of number of seats, not just the fact that millions more Americans voted for Democrats as opposed to Republicans. Millions more, okay? The so-called popular vote, which we already know that we are the majority because we won by 3 million 2 years ago.
So guys, the majority, even though the Democratic Party won the popular vote, we still lost the election. Well, we expanded that difference in this election. We even got more people to vote Democratic. And I tell you, the tide's turning. It really is. And we're going to show you on tonight's show. We're going to have a lot of fun. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you a still. And we might be throwing Kurt a curve here. But Kurt, if you could bring up number 4, please. And then I want to read this. And guys, you know, with the blue wave, what happens is the Democrats now control the Ethics Committee, Judiciary Committee, the Oversight Committee, the Intelligence Committee. Nice catch, Kurt. The Ways and Means Committee. This is what winning the House means. Trump is about to experience real oversight for the first time. Guys, Kurt, come back to me. Guys, this is probably going to be the first time in Trump's life that he's ever going to have oversight, where somebody is going to tell him, no, 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 Donald. No, 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 you can't do that. And just like he made a fool out of himself by nominating Whitaker, he doesn't know what he's doing. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. And guys, the next clip, we're going to go back to the Wayback Machine. We're going to go back to show number 228, which was about, let's see, 6 months ago. I'm going to guess 6 months ago. And guys, we call the show Accosted. And why? Because Trump, it seemed to me that Trump was trying to make Acousta the poster boy for the Democratic whipping boy or the CNN whipping boy. So guys, it's almost like Uncle Rich had a little bit of prophecy. So Kurt, let's have some fun with clip number 5, please. But then this stuff with the fake media and the enemy of the people, and I was talking to our sound man, Kurt, and I said, Kurt, what do you think about this enemy of the people, the media? He goes, Rich, they're public enemy number 1. So, guys, Trump wants to make Jim Acosta the poster boy for everything that's wrong with the media. So Trump wants to make Acousta the poster boy. And guys, you heard it. It's almost like I'm a prophet. And Kurt, can you do me a favor? Can you turn up the volume in the studio a little bit? Because I'm having a little bit of a hard time. But I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun and you're doing a good job. So let's have some more fun. And we're going to show somebody on Fox News, Howard Kurtz. And we're going to show how one of the people on the panel explained that the video that Trump and the White House used in bashing Acousta actually came from InfoWars. And guys, when we play the full Uncle Rich clip, you're going to see I actually patted ourselves on the back for getting InfoWars kicked off. Guys, you'll see, when you see the whole clip, you go, wow. Okay, Rich, now I see it. I see it, now I believe it. So let's see how Howard Kurtz handled the situation about Acousta on Fox News. Kurt, clip 6, please.
They took this, Sarah Huckabee Sanders took this off of InfoWars, which is a propaganda site that has been banned by a number of platforms, including Facebook and Twitter and Apple. This, by the way, to your credentialed journalist point, the president is more comfortable with journalists from InfoWars than he is from CNN. And for you to say that Jim Acousta should have lost his press pass when he works for CNN, when you look at the kind of people that this administration is fine with, is ridiculous.
So Trump is more comfortable with InfoWars than CNN. And guys, when we show you the full clip from InfoWars, you're going to go, wow, wow. I can see why you wanted to have him kicked off, Rich. All right? But we're not going to stop having any fun over here because the next clip we're going to show you how the White House, they kind of almost knew that the video was doctored. So, Kurt, let's have number 7, please.
It is a trumped-up, made-up reason to revoke his pass, and it's absolutely outrageous. The idea that the White House, that the officials of the President of the United States of America would use any doctoring of any video to do something to take away someone's First Amendment rights is beyond outrageous. And
this
unbelievable, huh? So they want to use a doctored video, and who do they get to step up to the plate and defend the doctored video? Nobody other than Kellyanne Conjob. So, Kurt, let's prove my point with clip number 8, please.
But the video was altered, and there are experts who have looked at it to make it look, speed it up to make it look, pardon?
Oh, well, that's not altered. That's sped up. They do it all the time in sports to see if there's actually a first down or a touchdown. So I have to disagree with the, I think, overwrought description of this video being doctored as if we put somebody else's arm in there. He should have apologized to that young aide. And
look at this. Look at, and then she tries to spin it around, and she tries to make Trump the victim instead of when he came. And guys, I tell you, when you see the clips, when you see how they were doctored, you're going to go, you mean the President of the United States puts up doctored videos? Yeah, yeah. Why? Guys, you have to explain it to me because I can't understand it. I can't understand it for 1 second. I mean, if I was the president and anybody put something like this up and I was in charge, man, I wouldn't only fire him, I'd take him out to the woodshed. Never mind, they wouldn't even make it that far. Right at his desk, bada bing. How could you do stuff like this? Trump don't care. And the people that support him, they care even less. Trump lies and they just sit there, yeah. And the next clip is going to be from the Young Turks. And I tell you, the clip that we're going to play from them, the full edition, they take no prisoners. But when somebody gets banned, what does it usually indicate? When you take away their First Amendment rights, what does that say? It says we got a problem. We have a problem with the president. That's what we should name the show. Problem with the president. But Kurt, let's prove my point with clip number 9, please.
So the president didn't like your question. You're banned.
That's crazy. It's crazy. And for anyone aiding and abetting that type of behavior, you don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in our Constitution. You don't believe in freedom of the press. You are nothing but a propagandist and a mouthpiece for Donald Trump, which is disgusting.
It's worse than disgusting. It's Republican. And that's bad. And guys, you know, you say, Rich, you can't make judgments like, guys, just listen to the videos. I'm not making judgments. You're hearing it for yourself. You know, you can hear as well as I can hear. And as a matter of fact, the next clip, Anderson Cooper goes so far as to say, people that have ears that work, people that watch videos, people that listen are going to hear something completely different from what they're hearing on Fox News. So, Kurt, we're going to jump ahead with clip number 12, please. Beautiful.
The president named Matt Whitaker, as you know, for that position after he fired Jeff Sessions. Today, after 2 days of stories about Matt Whitaker's past involvement in an apparently shady company and his numerous past comments about how to slow down or end the Mueller investigation, now the president is saying he doesn't even know Matt Whitaker, which is sort of surprising because previously he had said he did know him, and he said it on television. It was actually live. Many human beings with ears that worked actually heard it. We're actually going to play it for you in a moment because it's been recorded. But first, just setting aside the logic of why the president would appoint someone he doesn't even allegedly know to a position that could have close oversight of the Mueller investigation, it's also just demonstrably false. Whitaker has been to the White House dozens of times, has met with the president, and they've spoken on the phone several times, according to CNN's reporting. And again, keep it honest, the president just a month ago admitted he knew Matt Whitaker. He said it on Fox News when asked once about speculation that Whitaker would replace Sessions.
I never talk about that, but I can tell you Matt Whitaker's a great guy. I mean, I know Matt Whitaker.
Okay, so seemed pretty clear. I know Matt Whitaker. But since he was appointed acting attorney general, there's been widespread criticism of Whitaker's past comments against the Mueller investigation and calls for him to recuse himself. So here's what the president said today when asked about that.
Well, Matt Whitaker, I don't know Matt Whitaker. Matt Whitaker worked for Jeff Sessions, and he was always extremely highly thought of, and he still is. But I didn't know Matt Whitaker. He worked for Attorney General Sessions. He was very, very highly thought of and still is highly thought of. But this only comes up because anybody that works for me, they do a number on them. But Matt Whitaker is a very smart man.
All right. So let's review. All of a sudden, the president claims not to know his own choice for acting attorney general, and he didn't just say it once either.
I don't know Matt Whitaker. I didn't know Matt Whitaker. I didn't speak to Matt Whitaker about it. I don't know Matt Whitaker. In all fairness to Matt Whitaker, who, again, I didn't know.
Okay. Of course, the president knows Matt Whitaker. It stands to reason that the president knows Whitaker has spoken out against the Mueller investigation. The president watches TV. The president may not have known Whitaker's entire history. That would require a White House staff that actually researched him just a little bit. That's what our senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin has been doing. Last night he reported on Whitaker's ties to a company that the Federal Trade Commission shut down because it says it was running a scam. Tonight Drew has more about Whitaker's past and his time as a U.S. attorney in Iowa.
Guys, we'll have to get to that at a later date, but the question is, does he or doesn't he? And with Trump, does he or doesn't he? And remember the old commercials? Only his hairdresser knows for sure. And guys, really, when Trump's watching TV in the morning and he's getting all dolled up and he's getting his tan and his hair done, doesn't he talk to his hairdresser? Doesn't she or he know everything there is to know? I mean, she's got to spend hours with him each day. And but guys, I tell you, what we're going to do next is we're going to play a clip from Michael Moore. But before we play the clip, we're going to show you something that's going to astound the simple folk. We're going to show you charts and graphs on how effective this election was and who voted where. So it's going to be a little complicated, so just try to bear with me. So Kurt, let's try still number, let's see, 13, please. Beautiful. All right, guys, so if you take a look at this chart, the first thing when you look at a chart, what's the most important thing on this chart? Come on, guys, we do this on every time we talk about charts. What's the most important thing on this chart? And guys, the answer is simple. It's the source. And the source is the Cooperative Congressional Election Study, 2008 to 16, based on validated voters. All right, guys? And look at the top. The 18, the green bar at the very top is people 18 to 39 years old. And guys, look at that. Over 65% voted from that age group. And guys, let's go down to the next one, which is blue, which would have been the 40 to 49-year-old. But look, go back to 2016. Look at the difference. They went from 52 to 58%. And we'll go down to the next one, which is 50 to 64-year-olds. Again, more swing towards the Democrats. And even the old farts, people like me, 65 and over, even people like me are coming to the, are moving Democratic. So, Kurt, can we go to the next still? And guys, we're just the national House vote among suburban likely voters by region. There you go, Kurt. Guys, look at the Midwest. 10 points ahead in the Democratic Party. The Northeast, 52 to 35. In the South, we're almost tied, 43-44. But look at the West, 50 to 39%. So, guys, Kurt, let's go to the next one while we're on a roll. And you can see. So when Michael Moore, says that the vote is swinging the Democrats' way, now we're proving it. And guys, take a look at this, the women. Look at the amount of change. The women voters went from about 53% to 60%. That's a drastic. Even the men went more towards the Democrats. And Kurt, let's bring up the last chart. And let's see, this is the House vote among white voters. Uh-oh. The college women. My daughter, Diana, look at that. You went from 58, holy mackerel, to probably 68. Why? Kurt, come back to me. Because you can't trick the college-educated white women. Guys, let's put it this way. You can't trick women. Don't think you can. Get it out of your mind. That's why I like the fact that we had so many more women elected. Isn't it about time we got rid? I mean, haven't men proved they don't know what the hell they're doing? Look who we elected. It's time for women, I'm telling you. All right, so guys, the next clip we're going to have is going to be Michael Moore, and he's going to put his cards on the table, and he's going to tell you why this election was so good and validated everything that we had to say. And then we're going to show you something very important. Moore brings up an important point, and we're going to show you how we can achieve that. So, Kurt, let's have clip number 17, please. Nope, that's 18. 17.
Leading off our discussion now,
Nice
Michael Moore,
job.
Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker whose latest film is Fahrenheit 11/9. Michael, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and I want to get your reaction to what we've seen so far in this election because counting the votes is continuing.
It is an amazing victory, and I am not one to come on this show with a lot of optimism, as you know from the past. nobody should miss the point. All the points you just made were right on, especially the point that this victory on Tuesday was larger than the Tea Party victory in 2010, larger than the huge wave where the Democrats took over Congress in 2006. It can't be stated enough or strongly enough just how over-the-top awesome this victory was on Tuesday. And what you just pointed out, I think, is so important. Not just the victory in terms of number of seats, not just the fact that millions more voted for Democrats as opposed to Republicans. Millions more, okay? The so-called popular vote, which we already know that we are the majority because we won by 3 million 2 years ago. But this was huge. But also what you just said, how the 317 districts that moved further to the left, 117 districts that Republicans actually won, but the number of people who came out and voted for the Democrat, especially the progressive Democrat, that moved. It all moved. This is the new America that you've got on your screen right now. That is the America that we live in. And what gets really, I think, confusing for some people when we put up the map and we show the big red swaths of red across the country, it has a weird and wrong impact on people because it makes it look like the country's so red, but people don't live in those large desert and mountain and prairie areas. I mean, people live there, but small numbers of people live there. Each congressional district is the same exact number of votes, roughly 775,000 each. If there was a way to do the map where we actually built the map and showed by population how large this area of the country is, or this area of the country, by population, you would see the bluest of blue. You'd need sunglasses. There'd be so much blue on the screen on the map if we actually showed the map by the size of its population, not the size of how many acres the state has. So this was an election. This is, and people are, well, they still got the Senate. Yes, they have the Senate, but that's because that's not a democratic election. That's not a one person, one vote. Not true democracy doesn't mean that Delaware gets the same number of votes in the Senate as California with 40 million people who live there. If it was a true democracy, the Senate would be proportional to the actual numbers of the country. So we have to fix that. We have to get rid of the Electoral College.
So guys, like he said, we have to get rid of the Electoral College. Because let's be honest with each other. The last two Republicans that won, Bush and Trump, did not win in the popular vote. They won in the Electoral College. So if we could change that, guess what happens? And everybody says, it's going to be so hard to make the change. Guys, it's not. There's another way we can do it, and we're going to show you with this next clip. So, Kurt, let's have number 18, please.
It is a huge deal that Democrats have won the House of Representatives, and it's a huge blow to President Trump. Disregard whatever you're hearing about the size of the blue wave or whatever the president is tweeting. This is a seismic shift in Congress that we haven't seen in 8 years. And a Democratic-controlled House can have a whole lot of impact on the next 2 years of Trump's presidency in two major ways. Here's how. Number one, a Democratic majority House will investigate the many, many scandals of the Trump presidency. Let's be real. The Trump train has been rolling on unabated with Republicans controlling both chambers of Congress, despite whatever heroic tweets some of them like to fire off about morally opposing the corruption that we've been seeing. Democrats have already promised a number of investigations into this administration with a majority in the House, and they now have the authority to follow through on that. As Vox put it simply, Democrats now have the power to make Trump's life hell. Here's a list of what House Dems have already signaled they want to investigate. Trump's tax returns. We could actually see them, or at least House Dems could demand to see them and not let Trump get away with that haul I didn't feel like releasing them like every other president has ever. Trump's other financial dealings, including the rest of the Trump family and organization. Trump sending military troops to the border as a political stunt before the midterms. The family separation crisis. Brett Kavanaugh, Rep. Jerry Nadler, who will now be chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, said Democrats will open an investigation into sexual misconduct allegations against Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh since the Senate and the FBI totally botched the job. And the Russia investigation. Representative Adam Schiff, who will now be chairman on the House Intelligence Committee, has said he wants to reopen the House Russia investigation, which, if you remember, was unceremoniously shut down by Trump ally and all-around shady character Devin Nunes. There's a lot more that we still have to answer there. And we haven't even gotten into all the scandals of the Trump cabinet members, from Wilbur Ross, who lied to Congress about Republican plans to change the census, to Ryan Zink, whose own agency just referred him to the Justice Department for investigation. The other crucial part of these House investigations is that Trump can't just ignore them and hope that they go away. Since House Dems will have majorities on some of these key committees, they have subpoena power to demand documents or in-person testimony. It will cost the Trump team a lot of time and effort and make them have to answer some difficult questions. They might even tell the truth. Now, when you learn about our government being set up as a system of checks and balances in your civic classes, this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. This is a major, major check on a Trump presidency. And seeing as he's busted just about every political norm that there's ever been, House Dems now have a chance to try and rein some of that in. Or, at the very least, try to inject little things like ethics back into the national discussion in a way that matters. But that's not all. Let me quickly get to number 2. Democrats now also control the legislative agenda in the House. In addition to actual oversight, Democrats can introduce any number of bills on issues that are key to them, and they plan on it. Voting rights, healthcare, immigration reform, tax cuts. These are all things that Democratic leaders have signaled they plan to move on very quickly. Given that Republicans still control the Senate, it's unlikely that the House will pass much legislation that will make it to Trump's desk that he will actually sign. But it is a major advantage for Dems going into 2020. They can campaign on everything that they try to pass in the next 2 years and talk about Republican obstructionism. And they'll be able to effectively roadblock Trump's own legislative agenda, which includes funding for a border wall with Mexico, undoing the Affordable Care Act, and making cuts to programs like Medicaid and Social Security. The last time that we had this kind of split in government was back in 2010, when Republicans took control of the House of Representatives under President Obama, while Democrats maintained control of the Senate. So you had a Republican House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic President. This was the year that Tea Party Republicans took over the House. Remember them? And how much they obstructed President Obama's agenda? That's the kind of power House Democrats now have against President Trump. And that is no small feat. That's real power that no amount of propaganda or lying can undermine.
Ooh, I like
we'll be
that.
watching.
We'll all be watching. Yeah, we'll be watching. And guys, hopefully, I got to give Kurt the business a little bit. First day on the job. But guys, we're going to go back now. We're going to try to play clip number 18, which is Robert Reich, and we're going to show you how we can really get rid of the Electoral College and how it can be done. I'm telling you, when you see it, you're going to say, wow, okay, why haven't we done this? And guys, Connecticut is one of the few states that we can do this in. So I'm going to talk to my buddy Johanna that just got elected, and I'm going to say, hey, pay back, and it won't cost her a penny. Right, guys? All right. So, Kurt, I got my fingers crossed. Clip number 18, please. Yay!
While we resist Donald Trump, we also need to make sure our democracy doesn't ever again elect a candidate who loses the popular vote. We must abolish the Electoral College. Now, as you probably know, the Constitution assigns each state a number of electors based on the state's population. The total number of electors is 538. So anyone who gets 270 of those electoral college votes becomes president, regardless of the popular vote. So how do we abolish the Electoral College? Amending the Constitution is very hard, requiring a 2/3 vote by the House and Senate, plus approval by 3/4 of state legislatures.
Mamma mia.
But we can make the Electoral College irrelevant without a constitutional amendment. Here's how. Article 2 of the Constitution says states can award their electors any way they want.
Any way they want.
So all that's needed is for states with a total of at least 270 electors to agree to award all their electoral votes to the presidential candidate who wins the popular vote. If they do that, then automatically the winner of the popular vote gets the 270 electoral votes he or she needs to become president. Already 10 states and the District of Columbia have passed laws to do exactly this, awarding all their electoral votes to the candidate who wins the popular vote as soon as the 270 elector goal is met. Together, these states total 165 electoral votes. So all we need now is some additional states with 105 electors to pass the same law, agreeing to reward all their electoral votes to the winner of the popular vote. And it's done. We'll never again elect a president who loses the popular vote. The effort is known as the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. If your state hasn't yet joined on, make sure it does.
I was going to say, Siri, how many electors does Connecticut have in it? Kurt, do you know? But anyway, if we get Connecticut shifting over in that direction, we only need 105 more. So anyway, all right, but guys, now we're going to have some fun. We're going to go back into the Wayback Machine. We're going to go back to show 228, and we call the show Accosted. And guys, we had some fun, but one of the most poignant parts of the beginning of the show was when we called out Alex Jones. And guys, you know, we had done the show before this show on Alex Jones. So we're going to play this. We're going to have some fun. And you're going to see that even a small community access TV show like this can have an effect on the community and possibly the country. So, Kurt, let's have clip number 25, please. Guys, that's it, 25.
Kristen, did the White House go too far in suspending Jim Acosta?
25. Guys, there you go. Show number 228, and the name of the show is Acousta. And guys, I tell you, things have been happening so fast around here. On Tuesday, I called into our buddy Chris Ponte's show, and we got into a little debate about Medicare. And it was amazing how little Chris really knew about. So I wanted to do the show on Medicare. But then this stuff with the fake media and the enemy of the people, and I was talking to our sound man, Kurt, and I said, Kurt, what do you think about this enemy of the people, the media? He goes, Rich, they're public enemy number one. So, guys, Trump wants to make Jim Acosta the poster boy for everything that's wrong with the media. And let's see, guys, but before we get the show started, we gotta pat ourselves on the back a little bit. Our last show, we named it Jonesing Out. And guys, we said that it was time and we got to get Jones out of here and get him off the internet and get him because he was banned. If you go back to the last show, guys, 227, you can watch the whole thing. Well, here's the good news. Judy, can you bring up still number 02, please? Guys, look what happened. Apple removed most of the Conspiracy Theorist podcast from iTunes. And guys, this happened today. So Judy, come back to me. So guys, we only had 50 views on YouTube. But it only took one person from Apple to watch our show, and they said, get Jones out of here. Uncle Rich said, get him out of here. So guess what happened? Toodles, he got fired. Thanks, Kurt. Hey, and guys, I tell you, tonight's show, we're going to have so much fun because this first clip we're going to play you is sent from Uncle Joey. Uncle Joey sent it to me on Messenger. And guys, this is Uncle Joey accosting Acousta. So Judy, let's have clip number 2A, please.
He said he's very worried that the hostility whipped up by Trump and some in conservative media will result in somebody getting hurt. We should not treat our fellow Americans this way, he said. The press is not the enemy. Well, since you are honestly so dense that you can't figure this out by yourself, Jimmy, I will help you out.
Oh, see that? She's going to help you out, Jimmy. And thank you, Uncle Joey. Thank you for sending the clip in, because we're going to play the whole clip, and we're going to show you how you got bamboozled and how you aren't smart enough to be a critical thinker and realize that you got hosed so that you wouldn't put this on Facebook and embarrass yourself and your family. Joe, I'm only doing this for you. And, you know, guys, Uncle Joey wants to come down, and he wants to sit down with Uncle Rich. And the invitation is open. But, Joe, do yourself a favor. Call in on Facebook. All right? Because if you ever come down here, really, you'll have to slither out. Because the stuff that's been put into your little brain from Fox News and the rest of the boneheads. And, guys, even though we talked about, Kurt and I talked about the public enemy number one, Bill Maher certainly said it much better than we did. So, Judy, clip number 2B, please.
I mean, he calls the media the enemy of the people, except, of course, for Fox News. They're so far up his ass, they're the enema of the people.
So Bill Maher outdid me and Kurt once again. Hey, but that's why he makes the big bucks. And guys, we're going to play that whole clip, and I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So guys, you had a chance to see our old bear buddy, and he had his mama hat on, Make America Moral Again. So we want everybody to go walking around with blue hats on, mama. But guys, the next clip we're going to show you the clip from Howard Kurtz on Fox News. And, you know, just watch how they get everything asked backwards. So Kurt, let's have, let's see, this is going to be clip number 26, please.
Kristen, did the White House go too far in suspending Jim Acosta's credentials? Because that shifts the spotlight to whether the Trump team overreacted. And I've said, I think by doing that, the White House kind of made Jim Acosta into a journalistic martyr, and most of the news business standing behind him.
Journalistic martyr.
Acosta should have lost his press pass a long time ago. This has been going on for way too long. He's using these briefings to make himself famous and divert attention away from the valuable information that the public wants onto confrontations. It is not fair. He should have been gone a long time ago.
Let me jump in and ask you, look, CNN says that Trump's attacks on the press, and this includes not just the attacks on Jim Acosta, are dangerous and un-American. It's a really strong word. Doesn't that feed the perception that this is getting partisan between a news organization and the president?
Well, it's definitely
sorry. It has gotten partisan, and that's really unfortunate. But Trump has been put in the position where he can either respond to these journalists like Acousta who are out of control, or just do nothing and let it happen. So at some point, the White House needs to take action.
All right, and Jessica, what about the White House trying to make this about that brief interaction we saw between Jim Acosta and this young White House intern who was trying to get the mic and saying, well, he laid hands on her, which Acosta denies. Was that really what the suspension was about?
No, and also we know that they doctored the video. You addressed this earlier in the week. Kellyanne Conway is with Chris Wallace today.
I got to clarify.
And saying, oh, this is...
Okay, I got to clarify. They, the White House, didn't doctor any videos. Sarah Huckabee
Alex
Sanders
Jones did.
Put out
Actually, it came off InfoWars.
From InfoWars.
Also,
it was misleadingly edited. And while we're talking, let me just put up a close-up about, you know, did he actually chop at her arm or not? I think looking at the unedited video, it's pretty clear that the contact was incidental. Go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, the contact was absolutely incidental, and you could tell most people who are karate chopping someone are not at the same time saying, excuse me, please, ma'am, if you could give me a second, I'm not done here. That's not how it's done. They took this, Sarah Huckabee Sanders took this off of InfoWars, which is a propaganda site that has been banned by a number of platforms, including Facebook and Twitter and Apple. This, by the way, to your credentialed journalist point, the president is more comfortable with journalists from InfoWars than he is from CNN. And for you to say that Jim Acosta should have lost his press pass when he works for CNN, when you look at the kind of people that this administration is fine with, is ridiculous.
Guys, you see what's going on, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw Kurt a little bit of a curveball, because Kurt, we're going to skip number 27 and go to number 28, because I want to play this. This is Kellyanne Conjob with Chris Wallace. And listen how Chris Wallace admits that the videos are doctored. But listen how Kellyanne tries to spin it. And then we're going to play you the clips from the Young Turks, which they really dive into it. And you'll see exactly how they doctored the clips. So, Kurt, let's have clip number 28 for now, please.
This confrontation with Jim Acosta at that news conference. As you know, I have been very critical of Acosta's behavior myself, but I want to ask you about two responses by the White House. First, to tweet a video that was clearly altered to make it look like it was more of a physical confrontation than it really was, although I do think it was inappropriate. And second, to pull Acosta's pass to get into the White House and to threaten to do that to other reporters.
Well, Chris, first of all, what do you mean by edited, or as others are saying, quote, doctored video? He either put his hands on her and grabbed the mic back, or he did not, and he clearly did.
No, he clearly did, but the video was altered, and there are experts who have looked at it to make it look, speed it up to make it look, pardon?
Oh, well, that's not altered. That's sped up. They do it all the time in sports to see if there's actually a first down or a touchdown.
They don't do it to make it look like
I have to disagree with the, I think, overwrought description of this video being doctored as if we put somebody else's arm in there. He should have apologized to that young aide, and as far as I know, he has not. I'm much more interested in the work of Alex Acosta than Jim Acosta. He's the Secretary of Labor doing a tremendous job for this country. But what the president said on Friday is instructive. You have to show respect to the White House, to the presidency, certainly to the president. And I think what Acosta did was very unfair to the rest of the press corps. There are many people who wanted to ask questions.
But just one quick question, because we really are over time already. If the president, you say show respect, if a reporter writes a story that the president doesn't like, if a reporter asks a question the president doesn't like, are you now saying that it's fair to pull their pass and prevent them from getting access to the White House? Because that strikes at the heart of freedom of the press.
Chris, if what you just described were the standard, we would have cleaned out the entire building 2 years ago. He gets a lot of unfair treatment by the press, but no, it's the disrespect at that moment in that incident. And I'm going to disagree with you. As a woman who's had people put her hands on me thinking they have a right to get into my personal space, I'm currently deciding whether or not to press charges on an incident that happened within the last month, in fact. I don't like him pulling that mic back and doing on her arm, it looked like a karate chop almost. She's a young age, just doing her job, and if you play the full clip for your audience, you will see the president had already answered his questions, and he was moving on to the next questioner from NBC who was already standing ready to pose that question, and he wanted to move on to give other outlets an opportunity to ask their questions.
I agree with that. As a reporter who has sometimes been in that press room waiting, you always want to get your question. Kellyanne, thank you. Thanks for your time this weekend answering our questions. Always good to talk with you.
My pleasure.
So she wants to make you think that Jim Acosta used a karate chop on this poor girl with the microphone. And this girl is the victim, not the fact that Trump called out Acosta. And guys, I want to tell you something. If I would have been Acosta, I don't know if I could have been a gentleman. Uncle Rich might be in jail right now, but it'd be for a very good reason. Because I'll tell you, one thing that, the crap that don't float in my toilet is when somebody lies to me. You lie to me, that's it. We're done. You don't get a second chance. That's it. And what bothers me is people lie to Trump. Trump lies to people. They don't care. But guys, the last clip we're going to play for you is from the Young Turks. And they take no prisoners. So, Kurt, let's prove my point with clip number 29, please.
CNN's chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta, has lost his press credentials and will no longer be able to report on the White House or Donald Trump's administration from the press pool. Now, the Trump administration has claimed that they have suspended his credentials indefinitely. We're uncertain as to whether or not he will get those credentials back. But this all stems from an interaction that he had with Trump during Trump's press conference yesterday. Now, during that press conference, Acosta wanted to essentially ask Trump why he refers to the migrant caravan as an invasion, because they are not attempting to invade. They're attempting to come into the country through a port of entry and go through the process of seeking asylum. But Trump was fear-mongering about them prior to the midterm elections to drum up his base. And so at that point, Trump wanted to dismiss him. A press aide came in and tried to grab the microphone from Jim Acosta. And today, it appears that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has shared a doctored video of the microphone struggle in an effort to justify taking Acosta's press credentials away. So first, I want to go to video 9 where Acosta talks about getting these press credentials.
I saw the statement on my phone from Sarah Sanders that my press credentials were being revoked. I thought, well, maybe I'll get inside the White House for one more live shot on your show. And at that point, I was simply blocked from entering the facility. As a matter of fact, there was an officer who stood in front of the doorway to the security booth that I've gone through every day for the So it was a pretty surreal experience. I never thought in this country that I wouldn't be able to go and cover the President of the United States simply because I was trying to ask a question.
So this is crazy. I mean, because it's not just about Jim Acosta. It's about the president basically sending a message to anyone who wants to do any form of real journalism. If you challenge me, if you try to hold me accountable, if you try to do your job as a journalist, I will retaliate. And so he's the White House reporter. He's getting his press credentials taken away. He could lose his job over this. And he was simply doing his job, and he was respectful. The press aide tried to take the microphone away. He did not put his hands on her. But when Sarah Huckabee Sanders shared a video that was edited, and by the way, the video originated from someone affiliated with InfoWars, she tried to make it seem as though, oh no, I mean, he went too far. He got physical with this press aide. No, he didn't. We all saw the original video, which we'll get to in just a minute. But the interaction that Acosta had yesterday was with a Secret Service person who basically gave him the bad news. I want to quickly share that with you, and then we'll go to the doctored video.
Why do you mind? I mean, it's...
I was just told to do it.
Okay, well, I have every right to record this. This is Jim Acosta. I am in front of the White House. Secret Service officer is asking for my hard pass. Obviously, no hard feelings to the officer, but I am now giving my hard pass
Can you believe this, guy?
to the Secret Service.
We don't have freedom of speech anymore.
Do you want to take it off the
say
lanyard there?
Say Trump that he doesn't like, sure. They pull your press
been here for a while.
Well, yeah, I've been working at the White House for 5 years, covering
Not
2
president,
administrations. So yeah, it's been in that thing for a while.
Put this back here for you.
All right. Thank you for your service, officer.
Thank you for your service.
Okay.
So here
so
we are.
nice?
You know, we say third world country, but a lot of third world countries do a lot better than this. The president didn't like your question. You're banned.
That's crazy. It's crazy. And for anyone aiding and abetting that type of behavior, you don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in our Constitution. You don't believe in freedom of the press. You are nothing but a propagandist and a mouthpiece for Donald Trump, which is disgusting.
Oh, yeah, I care so much about the First Amendment. Free speech, that's the thing I care most about. Don't let that guy speak. Get him out of the White House. He's asked a politically incorrect question to the president. All the right wing are giant, ridiculous hypocrites.
Guys, what do you say? I mean, what do you say? Hypocrites is, I don't know if it's, hypocrites really says enough. Kurt, how much time do we have left? I got to say goodnight. Guys, I want to thank Kurt. Hopefully Judy will be back next week, but I tell you, I'm surprised we were able to pull this off with as few snags as we did. So guys, there's hope. So anyway, we'll see you next week. I have no idea what the show is going to be on, but with Mr. Trump in office, you can guarantee it'll be something crazy. Are you going to be able to run the graphics, Kurt? We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.